this show has been amazing. I want to start by saying that. And I'm the president and founder of SurvTech Solutions. We're a geospatial firm, started as a land survey firm and grown to 5 offices, about 100 people. And really our claim to fame is all the different services we do. So not to go on and on about it, but we do every type of LiDAR there is, from airplanes, from drones, terrestrial, mobile, from boats and automobiles, and obviously NavVis SLAM LiDAR as well, scanning. And so we have to have the ability to incorporate that, together with other types of, scan data. And so I mean, we also do a lot of even underwater multi-beam, which is a lot of people don't realize is very similar to LiDAR data. It's a point cloud, and so those can be merged together as well. A lot of 3D metrology work, which everybody says metrology, is that like predicting the weather? And I'm like, no, it's actually very, very precise measurement. So it's for equipment alignment in manufacturing facilities, which goes hand in hand with a lot of the, the NavVis SLAM digital twin collection. So we can go in and really align rail systems or robot cells to precision accuracies, 1/10,000th of an inch type stuff. And then you can also follow up with digital twins type stuff from NavVis. We also do a ton of terrestrial scanning, mobile LiDAR from boats and automobiles. And so we're really just a complete geospatial firm. Like I said, started as a land survey firm, but I love technology. So we've just constantly added. And the one type of LiDAR we didn't have was the NavVis, the SLAM. So I said, well, we got to get this, guys. It's the only thing we don't do. So when a customer comes to us, they really don't know what they want. And a good example of this is they may want 30,000 acres mapped, and they want you to use a drone. And we're like, well, that would take about 60 days in the field. We could do it in an airplane in 1 day. So the same thing with scanning. If they have a very small site and they want millimeter accuracy, I'd be like, well, it doesn't make sense to do a mobile type SLAM situation because you want really tight accuracy. It's not big. We'll do terrestrial. And so the one thing that I do want to bring up, because I think it's a misconception, is because of that, because the terrestrial scanner can potentially do 1 millimeter accuracy or whatever, everybody's like, well, it's so much more accurate than SLAM. But as a surveyor and as somebody that understands statistics, I'm like, not really, because the time you leapfrog around a 1 million square foot facility without putting any survey control, except at your perimeter where you came, where you geo-referenced it, you're not hitting 1 millimeter anymore. So SLAM, by the time you do the same thing and you do SLAM anchors using the NavVis system, I bet the accuracy is very close. And we're actually, one thing we like to do is scan with terrestrial, scan with the NavVis, and then overlay the clouds, compare them. And we're actually very, very impressed with the NavVis type system because you guys' data density is impressive. Your imagery is impressive. It's actually what sold us on it because we love looking at LiDAR data. So we looked at your data ahead of time. So when my customers come, I'm getting a little bit long-winded, but when they come, I actually look at the situation and then I weigh, what do you really need? Not what you want, just forget what you want. What do you need for us to give you the solution to your problem? And then we say, well, you want to use the NavVis and maybe also the terrestrial or a mobile situation. So that's what we do. We search for what they really need. The one that comes to mind is a mine processing plant where we had to do terrestrial scanning for design, which they have really tight 1/16 of an inch, 1 millimeter type specs. And these facilities, these processing plants go vertical. And then when they're running, they vibrate. And so when you have a plant that's vibrating, some of your scanners, your terrestrial just shut down. So we had to use a combination of terrestrial down bottom. And then we said, guys, shut down the plant. They wouldn't shut down the plant. So I said, well, the next best solution is we'll walk this with our NavVis VLX. And we couldn't have done that with the M6 because we were an M6 user too. But with the VLX, we were able to walk and cover it. We processed it with IVION and put it on the cloud. And man, they loved it better than a terrestrial. So I'm still working on them. We need to refine what accuracy they really need, but that's a great example where the vibration wouldn't let the terrestrial scanner work and the NavVis went in and did it. That's not your typical manufacturing facility or your warehouse. It's a very dirty, a lot of vibration, very crowded, but it worked very well. It would turn out good. And we shipped both sets of data to our LiDAR processing guys, and let them compare both of it, and they were impressed. We modeled off it, and we told the client, we said, look, we're not going to say this is just as accurate as terrestrial, but we think it's pretty darn close. And so it ended up being a good product. Well, just the amount of data at their hands nowadays, and I'll give you another example from the survey world. Back in the old days, if we were shooting topography out in the woods, you'd cut lines every 100 foot and take one shot every 100 foot. And what do you got? You got an elevation every 100 foot, with no data in between. And nowadays, there's just an immense amount of data, which is awesome. And it's also one of your biggest challenges, because now you got to have a way to let your clients look at all that data and work with all that data. And some people are phenomenal at it, and other engineers are like, just give me a 2D plan, So the good thing about us is we're not just a scanning company. So we're surveyors. So we look at everything from accuracy, precision, and then, try to fit the right tool for that. But it's an interesting time out there with all the amounts of data, with imagery, colorized LiDAR, which looks almost like an image. It's just a phenomenal time. And and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think the next big thing is a way to get some of these industrial or big corporations to use digital twins that have database information behind it. So they have manuals, training videos, shutdown, startup, safety procedures. So instead of having one old man that's been at the plant for 100 years that knows where that secret button is to restart something, now you have a digital twin, and an engineer in Canada can look at a plant in Florida and say, you guys need to go flip that switch, and he can look at it in the digital twin. So I think that's where we need to get to.